Hello, everyone. If you are a learning designer and you have accessed this video or podcast, you are in the right place because you are going to up-level through the conversation that we have. In these episodes, we talk about what we are learning as learning designers and ask each other questions so that we can get better at what we do. So we hope that you can as well through joining in with us. If you want to take your instructional design skills or learning development skills to the next level, you can check out our advanced training on our Creator Hub. So check it out in the description below. But we are going to start this episode. So we've got Kim here, Victoria, and myself, Hannah. And before we get into the questions, we always have like a question at the beginning. And I wanted to find out from both of you, just to help people watching how to design better learning, what is your pet peeve as a learner?
I think mine would be if I am confused about how like the tool works. Like if I find the tool confusing or I don't know where to click or I don't know, there's like pop-ups or annoying things like that.
Navigation issues.
That's the word I was looking for.
That's a good one, Vic. Good one.
Is there any learning, Hannah?
Any learning, yeah. Any pet peeve you have when you're learning something where you're like...
When they don't get to the point in like one word.
Good one. So concise, keeping it concise.
Need to know only.
Yeah.
Not nice to know info.
Love that.
I would probably change my answer to that too.
I think mine would be like no entertainment whatsoever. Like if it's like really dry and entertainment doesn't have to be like a joke or something, but it could just be like adding visual elements or something that makes it look nice and exciting. Because to me, if I'm just like reading text, I'm like, this is boring. I'm over it. Unless the copy is like entertaining and like written in a cool way.
I know Vic and I are like, get the fuck out.
Yeah. Well, like maybe that depends on what you're learning. Because I feel like if I need to know, like if I'm trying to get like in the moment help, I'm like, just like, I want direct copy. Like give me one sentence that tells me.
Actually, yes. That's a good point. If it's something I need like in the moment automatically, then yes. But if I'm learning because like I want to go on a journey of like learning about advertising or learning about like how to speak in front of people, like I need to be engaged and entertained or I'm going to get bored and not do it. But you're right. If it's like I'm working in Adobe Premiere and I'm like, how do I do this one thing? I'm happy for it to be like quick and dry.
That's what I thought straight away.
Yeah.
Like some of the YouTube
tutorials. Yeah.
It's like 10 minutes.
Pages. Yeah.
I'm like clicking through, like, get to the fucking point.
Yeah, so it probably depends on the context. That's a good one. Nice.
That's like I was doing, it's like mixed alignment or something, because I went to do, I'm going to expose the fucking podcast now, but the podcast is called 12-minute meditation. Scrolling down, I'm like, there is no 12-minute ones here. One was 39 minutes. And I was like, okay. So, but it was like a topic that I wanted to do it on. But then you have to listen to them like talk and explain it. And I'm like, I'm here for a 12-minute like meditation, and there's no way to like seek through to get to the meditation. I was like, fucking now I'm not happy, am I? I'm not calm.
It reminds me of recipes too. If you've looked on like online for recipes, it's like this whole blog of like, well, my grandfather worked on a farm, and then like I have to scroll all the way down to like, what's even in this to start with?
Yeah. What are the 3 ingredients in my 3 ingredients?
like at the shops trying to buy the stuff. I'm like, what am I like? Is there no recipe on here? It's very frustrating.
So I want to know then, how do we know whether what we're training on is something that requires a bit of entertainment or just needs to be like to the point?
I think it comes back to like the context of like, is it something they're going to want to use in the moment, or is it are they going to have, I don't know, half a day set aside to like learn this new topic or something? Or is it like, is it something they're going to need to like pick up on and off throughout their job to like help them with specific steps or something?
Yeah.
Which I feel like we do. Like, it's like, does it go in the e-learning, or is it like a resource, or is it a poster? Like,
yeah,
how we make that decision would be the same thing.
Yeah, and like the change process as well. Like, is it an awareness piece where we need to capture their attention and get them to think differently? And the way we do that is doing something a bit entertaining or out there. Or is it like, this is the process that you have to take? So it's less like, I don't know, like bells and whistles on it and all of that. It's just like the process.
I think that you used the word, Hannah, and it was entertainment. And it sounds like just being aware of some of the things that you're learning at the moment. You're learning that you're also looking for entertainment, and that's kind of the state that you're in. And like, we have done solutions in the past where literally the campaign behind the scenes, the whole philosophy was to educate through entertainment. And the reason that we did that was so that people didn't feel like they were learning. And so we wanted the messages in there, but we wanted it to feel like they were watching a TV show that they would regularly watch at home every night of the week. So we were coming in from that perspective. So I don't know if people are necessarily choosing that, like the fun or the entertainment or whatever it is, unless they are choosing to be entertained. But for educate, I think it's, where is that balance on a spectrum between I'm choosing here to be educated, such as I've got to edit something in a program right now, and there's a 23-minute tutorial, or there's a 3-minute tutorial, where I'm probably likely to click on, well, Vic and I are probably likely to click on the 3-minute one.
Yeah, I would too for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's something to explore in there. What mode, or what are people seeking? Why are they motivated to interact with our thing? And where on that spectrum of education to entertainment are we facilitating that learning to happen within?
When you're saying that, it made me think like potentially so we interview our users and find out a bit more about them before we start a project. And I wonder if like their level of motivation could impact whether we go entertainment or to the point. Because if they're like, I do not want to do, like, I don't care about doing that process, then maybe like you engage them in a way where they don't realize they're doing the process, but it's entertaining and they see like the value through that. But if they're like, nah, I'm ready, get me straight into it. For example, like, I just need to do this thing on Premiere, take me there, then it's less entertainment and it's more like, get it done. It's interesting.
And episode's over.
Good chats. All right, in terms of questions, I might go first this time.
Selfish, but okay. No.
I never get to go first.
Oh, I
know. Victoria and I went to a meetup this morning with Lyndall Box, so I'll put the link to the meetup in the description. It was really good, and one of the questions that came up like really interested me and had me like thinking post the meetup, and I wanted to know from Victoria specifically, and I think you as well a little bit, Kim, but basically it's about introverts and extroverts.
Okay.
And someone had asked how, like, introverts, they were saying introverts are very good at listening, say in a workshop or a group interview or something like that. They're good at listening and like processing and collecting their thoughts, and they have like a lot of value to share. But what can you do to make them feel comfortable so they actually do share and they aren't like overtaken by like the extroverts in the room? So I was just wondering, like, from Victoria's point of view, because I know you probably are more of an introvert, Victoria, like what does make you feel?
That's a label right there.
Well, tell me if you're not.
I'm so extroverted. I don't know how you realised. No, I'm fine with that label. You can label it.
I was wondering, like, is there anything, because I know you say, like, you hate being put on the spot. Like, for example, there was, like, everyone had to do an introduction in the meetup and talk about yourself. And you're like, I absolutely hate doing that. And they were talking about how introverts don't like being put on the spot. And it made me think of you, like, not liking those situations. So I'm just wondering, like, is there anything that helps you to speak up? And you may have insights as well, Kim, in terms of, like, you are a bit of an introvert as well. I won't label you, but I feel like you're like a
Like
labels. But you like facilitate meetings with introverts as well. So yeah, I just wanted to know from both of you what your insights are.
I'm on the spot. I don't know.
I've literally done to you what
So how are you feeling right now, Vic? And how could this have been handled differently by Hannah?
I don't, it is like hard because there are like, you need to be put on the spot sometimes. But like if I feel like I feel more comfortable sharing if I haven't been put on the spot, like I've been given a bit of an idea beforehand of, I don't know, what I might have to like share or talk about or something. Like even for things as simple as like introducing yourself. As soon as she said that, I was like, oh God. And I was like, Kim did not pre-warn me that this happened. And it's like such a little thing, but it really gets to me. But I guess with things like that, you just should always be prepared that you might have to introduce yourself in like an online cool thing like that. But I don't like, I thought some of the ideas that they had in the webinar thing were good. Like they were specifically for like when they're facilitating meetings. I think it was Terry who had the question. And she was like specifically talking about how introverts, she can observe like that they've got really good listening skills and that they can summarize, like summarize what was the points at the end. But she doesn't, she was looking at like pros and cons of like putting them on the spot at the end to be like, can you give a summary? Because like, I know you've listened basically.
Yeah.
And I thought some of the ideas that were offered then were good. Like people were saying, give them a heads up beforehand that you're going to ask them for a summary at the end. And I've like agree that is useful because then you do sometimes listen from like a different perspective, if that makes sense. Kind of how we talk about like if you're facilitating, you're not participating the same as like attendees would. Like you're looking at everything from like a different frame of mind. So I think that's useful, is like giving them a heads up if there's something specific, like a specific role that they're going to have. And then the other thing I liked as well was someone suggested like give the introvert the option of how they want to share. So they said rather than just like putting them on the spot in the meeting and saying like, can you verbally like summarize everything right now? It's like they could go away, they could make a video to send to everyone, they could do an email, they could make a poster. Like they decide how they want to summarize and share it.
I love that.
And I like that as well because it is like, it can be hard. Even for extroverts, I think it can be hard to be put on the spot sometimes. Just if they do it doesn't mean they're going to do, like if they're happy and confident to do it doesn't mean they're going to do a good job of it just because they are on the spot. So I liked that as well. But yeah, I don't know how that would play out in some situations. Like I just feel like you are going to be put on the spot sometimes. And I don't fully know how you... I know like we have talked about stuff like that as a team when I've said like something was like holding me back from sharing stuff, but I definitely haven't like perfected that. So
yeah, that's really good. Thank you. That was like a good recap of the meeting this morning too.
Thanks for taking a few hours to just listen, process, call it back.
Yeah, literally. You literally did what I thought.
Did you know this was coming?
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
I thought you'd ask me what I learned.
Oh, really? Close. What was I going to say? Yeah, I find it hard because like people say if there's someone not getting their word in because louder people are talking the whole time, Like you can be like, oh, for example, like, oh, Yibs, like, what do you think? But then like you're putting them on the spot. And that conversation made me think like, I probably like try to do that, but that's actually putting them on the spot and making them feel uncomfortable. And I don't want to do that either. But then you also don't want them to be like left out and not get a word in.
Yeah. It is tricky because even I've had people do like call me out like specifically. And there's been times where it like annoys me a little bit because I'm like, I would have said something if I had something to say. Like,
yeah, don't force me to say something.
But then like sometimes you do need someone to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't know, it's hard because it does stem from like in what way they're introverted too. Because I feel like some of my issue is I try and be like super, super polite. And it's like I don't want to ever accidentally start talking at the same time or like cut someone off or like someone's about to say something or has a thought and like I say something and ruin it. So like there's a bit of that holds me back too. And I'm like, I don't even know if that's an introvert thing or it's just like I'm just trying to be like so polite that I'm like, oh, I'll wait for everyone else to go, and then it's like it moves on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
I've had that before. I had that happen. I think that happened today. I had something to say and then it was like moving on. I was like, damn it. Like, I don't know how much silence to leave.
Yeah. Because I have found that with the client workshops we've done where I'm supposed to be an equal participant, but there's like this bit of me that's like, oh no, it's like the client, it's their project. Like I'll just come in if they like run out of things. And then it moves on and then I'm like, wow, I didn't contribute anything. I just like
but we get great ideas, folks. So hi, Belvista Studios. We just won't invite Vic. And if she's there, she has a secret purpose.
Or like you wait too long and someone says what you were thinking and then like that throws me off because I'm like, oh, like I just came up with that. Like I need something else. So look, it's a tricky balance. I don't know what and like you guys have said, like you give me permission to talk and say things and speak before the client and whatever, but I'm still like it's so deeply embedded.
So disobedient.
No, I can relate to that, Vic, of like the polite thing where like I don't say anything because I don't want to like offend someone or talk over the top of them or yeah, I understand that too. Whereas other people are just comfortable to just like talk without really thinking.
Yeah.
Like they just flow with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say, yeah. I feel like the two things can kind of be like applied somewhat to most situations, like trying not to put them in the spot if you're expecting them. Like if you go into it already thinking like, oh, someone's going to have to do this, like give them the heads up.
Yeah.
And yeah, giving them the option for like the medium that they want to share by.
I really like that.
Even if it's like typing in the chat, if it has to happen live, like whatever it is.
Yeah, I really love that.
They could be flexible, maybe.
Yeah. Good insight. What do you think, Kim?
My first question is, Hannah, would you identify as an extrovert or an introvert?
I would say extrovert, but I can be introverted in certain situations because of that polite thing that Victoria was bringing up.
Yeah. Well, I think anyone that watches Studio Insights knows that you're the number one person that goes at the end of the question. So what I heard you say was, and then you basically have all the dot points of like our responses. So you're saying I'm like most situations I'm an extrovert, yet you're doing the behavior that's kind of traditionally slotted in with the label of what an introvert is doing, and that they're the best at summarizing what's being said. So I think what is probably important for me is to literally get rid of the labels and to see each individual as a human that can add value to the process. And it's our role to identify what value, why is that person there in the first place, and communicating why you see them as valuable there, and also tapping into their motivation to contribute to whatever the outcome is. And I think you have to see all humans at an individual level rather than this spectrum of introvert, extrovert, or introvert in these situations, extrovert in these situations. If you're able to just realize, it's just easier to go, you're a human being. I need something from you. You have the thing in you to give to me, and figuring out how to do that. I actually think that's probably like an easier way to deal with anything that might come up. And then I guess what I'd just say is like maybe thinking outside of our world in terms of you're at a dinner party and there's people that you know, that you don't know. It's a long table with maybe 8. And what is happening in that? If you see someone that is like a little bit quiet and not engaged, are you engaging them? And how do you do that if someone's continuously talking over and is like the loud person with all the stories and like they're the life of the party? Like, how are you handling the situation? And like, are you sensitive to the energies in the room and what's playing out with the dynamics of the humans, and maybe just paying attention to situations that are outside of a workshop or a facilitation space where it's a group of people, to figure out, well, how does it play out there? How am I when I talk to this kind of friend or this kind of friend or this relationship with this person, whether it's the person that you're buying coffee off in the morning versus someone that you meet in the lift versus someone that you have a deeper connection with or a long-term relationship, and just paying attention to that and then collecting that to bring it back to, okay, they're all individual humans. Now those individual humans are potential strangers or on a spectrum of that. But at the end of the day, they're a human. How can I tap into the outcome that we're both here to deliver on?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I like not just seeing it as like introvert, extrovert, and that everyone is so different. And it made me think like sometimes, like, because we were talking about, like, I think someone said in the meetup, they can tell when someone's an introvert, like they can identify it. But I'm thinking now, like, someone might be quiet. Like, I could be super quiet in a meeting because I'm like, I have no idea what is going on. This isn't my topic or whatever. But then in another meeting that's a topic that I'm really passionate about, like I can be really extroverted. So it does depend on like the situation as well. So it's more figuring out, I don't know, I just find it hard to like assess each individual when you've got like a meeting of multiple people and like make sure you do something that gets everyone to like that. But feels a bit overwhelming to me.
Yeah, and we've talked about this in an episode before, where it's about it's the planning that you put in to it before it even happens to get the right people in the room. So whether you're doing a kickoff and seeking to understand what's the problem we're trying to solve, whether you're doing a brainstorming one where you're trying to come up with activities and ideas for what a learning solution could be, whether it's a meeting to just have a project, like a project management check-in that happens on a regular basis. It's actually more about who's being invited into the room and being intentional about this is why you're here.
Love that.
That's all that actually matters, because then it doesn't matter who's in there, you get the outcomes, I believe. Well, that's the way I've been operating, so that I don't have to deal with personalities, for example, or like dynamics of humans.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you, both of you. I'll stop calling you an introvert, Vic. I apologize for the label.
Where's our HR department?
I don't think we have one, so you're going to have to deal with that. Who would like to go next? I'll let you two choose.
Does yours follow on, or is it different, Vic?
Mine's different.
Okay, you go. Mine's different as well.
Kim, my question is for you. So last week, just to give like the listeners some context.
And me, because I'm like, that was a long time ago.
But last week we got together as a team because we basically had like conflicting priorities, I guess. Like there's a few different things we wanted to pursue, but you were trying to make a decision on like what to put first. So I guess your first part of your process for that was like reaching out to Hannah and I and saying,
after a week of torment in my own head, But yes.
Like to get our input and like our opinions, I guess, on what you think we should do. And then I think you're going to go away and do like the ease impact matrix thing. But I just wanted to check in to see, like, for other people who might be dealing with conflicting priorities and they're trying to decide, like, it is just like their decision thing. It's not like client deadlines or things like that. It's like, I'm choosing to pursue something. What should it be? What should I do first? Like, you reached out to us first, so I guess getting like advice can be one thing. But what was your like process for the rest of that, and how did you get to your final decision?
Oh God. Okay, well, it was a lot longer than that was one snippet, but I'm like thinking, God, I had a lot of stuff going on Monday, Tuesday morning, I was continuously prioritizing to figure out the problem. And then I got to a point where I was stumped, and that's when I called you guys in. And then that gave me some clarity to move forward and then continue that process solo. So I feel like what you're describing was my whole week. Maybe I saw the blue sky on Friday. So I guess I was making a choice between two things that were really important, and I wanted them both. And they were very close on how important they were. Like the reward of doing them was very close. And we're capable of achieving them. They would have equal impact on the world, all of this sort of stuff. So they're very close, but it was like, we literally do not have the capacity to do the same thing, the both of them at the same time. So we have to either eliminate or pause or adapt the plan. And the thought for me was, we could make them work, but it wouldn't be our best work. And then would we want to put that out into the world? Is there a way that we could adapt this or pause something so that both of the things got our best attention, our best efforts, and our best energy to put the best thing out into the world? So that was my first thing. And then it was around, okay, that is a possibility. What does that look like? And it's kind of just asking these questions, like literally these questions, like taking the time to problem solve at each step. Okay, so if we're going to do both of them but they can't happen at the same time, when can they kind of happen? Like, when do they go live into the world? What's the lead time? What are the hard deadlines around that? They're pretty close to each other as well. And then it's looking at, okay, if we only have 8 days for both things to go out, how much proportionally of our effort are we going to put into each of those and to make it work? Are there any low-hanging fruit, as the saying goes? So like, are there any quick wins that can allow us to get the results? So being very clear on what success was actually for both of them as well, because both of them, it'd be great to have them going. And then if we decide, yes, we're going to do both of them, well, what is success in both of them? And how can we achieve that in the most easy and effective way, or the most efficient and effective way? So I started like listening, basically blocked out all noise, sat down with pen and paper and just jotted out all of the ideas of how that might happen, and roughly thinking, this is a 3-hour task, this is a 3-minute task. So figuring it out, how many people are involved in it? Are any of them depending on other things? What has gotten us those results in the past? So pulling out basically everything so that I could see everything written down, and then deciding which ones are going to get us the impact the easiest way, and plotting them all out. And then realistically going, okay, we don't have 2 weeks to do it, we have 3 days. So what can we get done in those 3 days? Who has the resources, whether it's time, skills, experience available to do certain things? Yeah, that was pretty much it, I think. And then it's kind of like, I look at the notes and I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. And I'm like, it just has to pause. Like, we just physically can't make it happen. And maybe in the future we'll explore it. But knowing this is all that within our like energy, that's what's available and that's what we can do. And I guess actually looking at if we achieved all those things and it was both things were successful or not successful, would I have any regrets that I didn't take responsibility or try my hardest for us to have those things in existence? And that helps kind of prioritize them or help motivate to get it done as well. And kind of probably made me work a little bit harder. Like instead of going, oh, like this will take me 2 hours, I maybe was getting it done in an hour and a half because I was like motivated, because I didn't want to have regrets, because I don't want to look back and be like, oh, I let us down in that area, or I didn't want to have that happening for you guys either. So I was looking at what does that look like, so that we've tried everything within our control and influence to make this work, and went with that within the time, the resources available to us. And that's what's playing out right now. You want to go deeper on it, or?
No, I feel like those, like, to me, those questions, I couldn't write them all down, but I feel like all the questions you're asking yourself like that is, I feel like that would make people go deeper. Because even just thinking back to when you asked us what we thought, I think I thought of like one reason to go one way, like instead of the other. But like taking the time to ask yourself all of those questions will get you a lot closer, I guess. Because at the end of our chat, I was just like, oh yeah, like I think we should do this because of this. And then that's, then it's almost like flipping a coin. It's like, oh, like either one could work, but like, we'll do this one. Just off like, I don't know, a feeling or one justification.
And that's the thing, by the time I came to you guys on the Tuesday, I'd already spent a day trying to figure this out by asking questions like that. And it's really interesting. I was going to send it to you guys, but I'm reading this book at the moment by the School of Life. And it's called The Simpler Life. And it was on work. Let me see if I can find, because it was like a couple of pages. Oh God. Okay, let's just like, I'll summarize some of it, because it was like, I'm just looking at, sorry, now I'm laughing at what I've seen. Okay. Sorry. It's basically saying that we think that thinking is a waste of time and that it's better to be busy because we can measure busyness. But that's something of a tragedy, because most of what goes wrong in our lives is not due to a failure of raw effort or busyness. We come to grief not because we haven't rushed around enough or put in a sufficient number of hours at the coalface, but because there has somewhere along the way been a shortfall in thinking. We do not allow ourselves the requisite number of hours in which we might, to a critical outside eye, look as if we are doing nothing, gazing out the window, following a trail of clouds across the evening, blah, blah, blah. It basically says create the space to think. And it is precisely during these apparently empty hours of reflection that life's real work unfolds. Thinking is unfortunately extremely painful. Far more so, I was actually reading it and thinking this was a really beautiful reflection of how we work as a team and the effort that we put into our decisions and the things that we like, the level of depth and thought and intention that we put into every bit of task that we do. So you guys can listen from this perspective. Thinking is unfortunately extremely painful, far more so even than getting up early to catch a train or scheduling yet more meetings into an already packed day. It requires immense bravery to ask ourselves difficult questions about our intentions and goals, including those concerning our work life. To wonder, for example, what are we truly trying to do with our colleagues, or whom a given product or service might actually be of use to. Most businesses and work schemes fail not because people have been physically lazy, but because they have omitted to pass their plans through the robust sieve of their own intelligence. Eventually, all ideas will be judged by reality. What thinking allows us to do is anticipate problems before they have grown too large and too costly. By sitting in bed for an extra hour with a pen and paper, we can stress test our plans long before they make fateful contact with an impatient and highly competitive world. Let me just see if there was another thing actually. Good thinking requires us to put ourselves on both sides of an argument. I think we do this really well. Considering the contra case as imaginatively and creatively as we do the pro. Basically, it's talking about be human-centered. Here, if we are thinking constructively, then along the way, we'll have to do something else that feels uncomfortable, put ourselves in the shoes of others. We tend not to notice the unfortunate degree of which we instinctively support that others must really be like us and will therefore share our enthusiasms and loves. Yet many disasters in the world of work might be avoided if people were to reflect honestly and profoundly on how an audience other than themselves might feel about a service or product. I think I'll just finish now, but with this last paragraph. A thinking culture is not one without achievement. It is one that properly understands the role played by good thinking in the delivery of good doing. And I thought that was really cool. And I think that's something that we do really, really well. And I think that that level of questioning means that although it took me a whole day to get to a point when you brought up those two perspectives, which were both of you were conflicting each other with your perspective, I then had the clarity to then just go, this is the answer, let's move forward with it. And I think it's those questions that are like, what is it costing us to not do this? What would it cost us to fatigue us and try and do low quality at the same time? What would it cost us to do both of them really good? What would it look like if we just didn't do either of them? What would it look like if we did one and not the other? And vice versa, if we did that one and not this one? What would it cost us to pause it for now and focus on something completely different? What if we didn't do it today, but we did it in a year's time or 5 years' time? Or should we start it today because in 5 years' time we'll be much happier or it will give us the greater reward? Why is it not currently working? What's the easiest way to launch it? So I think it's this level of problem solving and critical thinking that allows us to, when we do things, we do them exceptionally well. And that's why I think if we scale it back to, or rein it back into like the solutions that we create for our clients through our process, is that it works every single time and it's an easy project every single time that gets yeses continuously and celebrations. And every time we look back on the work, we're really proud, is because that level of thinking goes into every single action that we take as a team or the decisions that we make as a team.
I love that. I feel like what you're reading is like the perfect explanation of it all. Like the thinking is the hardest part.
Yeah.
And the evidence of that is whenever Kim is away. And I'm like, oh God, we have to make a decision. Why do terrible things have to happen?
Or he's like exhausted at the end of the day because we have to think. Just sleep for a week.
Yeah, it's like the most difficult thing, but it deserves the most. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because it is less easy. As soon as we've made a decision, it's like, oh, we need to do that, we need to do that, we need to do that. But it's like getting to that point is so hard. Can be so hard.
And I think I'm just like paying attention to now, reflecting on that, but also when is it that I need to pause and think? And I think I get overwhelmed. And I personally become paralyzed and can't take action. And actually, that's why I said to you girls, I need help. I felt paralyzed in that moment. I'd done the thinking and I was ready to like plan and schedule. And then I was like, I can't. I don't know. I don't even know I can't put a number 1 next to all the items that I've identified for myself. Like, actually, this is really like important to just show. And sorry for the people that are like listening, but is it clear? Yeah. This is one of. This is that. Just look at those scribbles, and
Wow.
also look at these scribbles. Sorry, I gotta find it because there's a lot of scribbles in this one. There again, those scribbles, like that's all the thinking just to decide on that thing that you're talking about now. Like it was continuously thinking, scratch them out, I've achieved that. And then you'll see where I have like, I got to a point when I talked to you girls where I got overwhelmed, and the red is like Kim needs to action. Their numbers, I couldn't put a number to figure out which one should I start on for all the actions because I was like too overwhelmed. So that's when I go, more thinking needs to happen. I'm lacking clarity right now. And that's where I reached out to girls. So yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you for sharing.
That was good. Do you want to ask your question, Kim?
Sure. I forgot about it. My question was for you, Hannah, like, because you know how you're doing the MasterClass, you're learning for entertainment and education purposes.
Yeah.
Have you learned a new one since the David Carson one? Have you done a new one?
Yes, I did the advertising one last week.
That's right. You spoke about that. Okay, yeah, I was gonna you've already shared your learnings on that. Okay, well then we'll tap into the second side of it, is that I imagine is highly entertaining, these masterclass videos. What are they doing that is entertaining through the education process?
They're showing a lot of examples, like people who are on there are showing examples of their best work. So for example, the advertising one, like they basically take you through like how they came up with the idea for the ad, where the idea came from, how they built it into what it is, and then you like see what the end product is. So it's cool. Like I love seeing like the visual output of what someone creates because it gives me inspiration for what I do. I think just like the way that the people speak or they're interviewed, like it's very like casual. And a lot of people on there have like quirky or like there's lots of different personalities and they have their own like little jokes and like funny sayings and things like that. So you're sort of watching someone that inspires you because they're the best at what they do. And it's like interesting to watch them and how they operate as a human. I think it's entertaining because they put in like breaks within the learning where you do something yourself. So there was one I was watching, like a personal branding one with Kris Jenner. And she was talking about like to figure out what your personal brand is, to create a vision board of what you want your life to look like and how you want to be perceived by the world. And so she sort of like took you through step by step, like how to create the vision board, and like showed the ones like her, like Kim and Chloe had all like created vision boards as well to help with their branding. And so it's like a fun thing that you get to do at the same time. So it like engages you. Honestly, just think it's really well produced. So it's like watching a Netflix show. Like it's almost like watching like a documentary on Netflix, or rather than just like reading text or doing like a boring e-learning. It's quite like, not like ours definitely isn't boring, but not like the click next, read that text.
That makes me think about how might we do our like the showing examples of our best work. Like I reckon with our human-centered design cohort and stuff, like we don't do that very well to communicate. Like when people do the cohorts, they are describing it as life-changing, and now I have all the tools that I need and I have clarity on my process. And every single time it gets phenomenal feedback. But I think in terms of people looking at that, I don't think that's something we do very well. And we do talk about with our solutions, how can we help people taste with their eyes? But it's like, how can we show the things that we're creating or that our human-centered design cohort allows people to create for their clients, so that they are seeing, oh, I want to do that kind of solution. I want to solve a problem in that kind of way. I think that's something we
definitely
need to explore as a team on how we communicate that better.
Yeah, definitely. Because when I think about like the things that I share with you guys about the masterclass lessons I do, a lot of it is like the stories. Like I'd shared like with the advertising one, Kim, like that skateboarding ad, the car ad where there was no actual cars. Like it was all about like stories and the work that they'd done. And then like the negotiation one with Chris Voss, like a lot of it was around like the hostage situation and like how he was speaking to this hostage. Like that's the stuff I remember. Because they're like significant situations or projects they've worked on that impress me. So it's like stuck in my mind.
Yeah. And we have that on our YouTube stuff, but maybe it's not as clear of like, you can learn this. And I'm even thinking, like, I had a client meeting last night where it's like we need to see something, I think, in an exchange, and we need to see it with our eyes to value what it is that we're getting. Like it's like a tangible, okay, I can see the quality of that, and that's what I want, and I can see and compare it to other things that I am able to relate to. Because last night when I was doing the client meeting, and I showed them some of the work that we're doing for the cyber stuff that we've done recently, and like showing them the kits and the what else is in there, the posters and stuff. That's when we got like amazing feedback, and they were like, oh my God, like our templates are nothing on that. They were like, you're gonna really, like, maybe we should actually look at revamping our whole template suite, so that and style guide, so that people are already starting at that benchmark and not trying to work within it. But it wasn't until I showed them our work that they differentiated us from other solutions that are being created or other vendors that are available
100%.
in the place.
Yeah. 100% agree. Well, I don't think that Chris Voss one, I don't think, like, it was good and I learned a lot, but he sort of showed that he was worth my time and worth listening to by seeing his actual negotiations in real life.
Yes.
So I was like, wow, like he's actually so good. Like this is a real life situation. How crazy that he did that. And then I was like more inclined to hear his advice after, rather than him just being like, do this, do that, do this, but not seeing any evidence of how it actually adds value. So I think and definitely the advertising one, I probably wouldn't have been as into it if I didn't see like the actual ads that they'd produced and how cool they were. Like watching it as a viewer, I was like, wow, like they do actually come up with amazing stuff. So it's worth listening.
That's cool.
Good question.
Thank you.
Oh, good.
Brilliant episode, team.
Yeah, that was really good. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to check out the links in the description. Check out the Creator Hub for advanced instructional design training, and we will see you in a future episode.
What's up, awesome human? Thank you on behalf of myself and the Belvista Studios team for continuously choosing to learn with us. We really appreciate it. If the tips and the insights and the context resonate with you and you want to take your skills to the next level, or you want to make your life way easier, you will love our Creator Hub. The Creator Hub is a place for people like you and us. Basically, it's the stuff that we use internally at Belvista Studios, and then we just share it publicly with you. The Creator Hub is created by instructional designers for instructional designers, and what you'll love there at the moment is we've got a quiz, could I be a better instructional designer, that has so much tips in the feedback if you're interested in human-centered design or just taking your skills to the next level in terms of the solutions you're creating, the problems you want to solve. But in there as well, aren't we cute? That's us. But we've got the coaching courses, freebies, give us gratitude, and also we've got some templates. And basically they're always around the lens of learning experience design, instructional design, and e-learning. So a human-centered design focus is very much what we're about at Belvista Studios. So putting your learners at the heart of a solution and creating something for their needs. So there's the human-centered design stuff, and then we've also got the business stuff. So this is the stuff they don't teach you about when you want to become a freelancer or a consultant in the instructional design world. So go check it out. The link is in the description. You can check out everything that is available for you. Thank you for choosing to learn with us. Continuously invest in your skills. You will be rewarded as an instructional designer. Share this stuff, share it with other people, because when we are better instructional designers, we create better solutions that create better humans, that create a better world. So we have a very important role, and I'm excited to be on this journey with you. Have an awesome day.